Alright gang, welcome back to our competitive one-tile challenge here on Farmlands with my friends Rusty Money Gaming and Crustu. Their links are down below. I highly recommend you go and check out their playthrough as well. On the way here to go and start mowing our grass, which is fantastic, we're going to go ahead and just drop off these pallets here of goat milk to keep the aged goat cheese production moving along here. We definitely want to try to get some more pallets out of that. I don't know if the price is still going to be decent or not, so may or may not sell them today. We will see. We do have 4 pallets of clothes now. And the clothes are going to be best, I think, next month. Which means big money is right around the corner for us once again. Not only that, we're obviously going to be mowing our grass here today, and all of this grass is going to be going directly into our BGA. What I did do off camera between the last episode and now is I did go up to the shop and I did purchase a bale here. I purchased one grass bale, the 125 centimeter grass bale at $7.50. The meadow grass did regrow for the goats, so they are in a good spot for a little while. As you can see there, 21,318 liters of meadow grass. They chewed through that grass that I put in there, but it kept their health at 100%. I was really concerned that their health might drop below 100%. Didn't want that to occur, so I added some grass there. Now the sheep are also at the same situation where they have no grass in their trough. They have meadow grass, but they have no grass. For the time being, I'm not going to really focus or worry about giving them any grass in the trough. I'm just going to be utilizing the meadow grass for right now until the meadow grass gets a little low again, because we are now, once again, as I mentioned, in the growing stages of the grass. So, I want to put this grass as much as possible into our BGA. That's really where I want it to be at, and we'll see, right? If we need to add some more later on, we can certainly do so since we are in these growing stages of the grass. We've got 2 grass fields right now. It's probably going to be 2 grass fields for a little bit longer than what I had initially anticipated. But, that's the goal, at least. We're going to attempt to continue to fill that BGA up so we can get some more money, because really, we need to start focusing on getting more of this loan paid off. The guys and I were discussing around, end goals and stuff like that. We talked about it in the past, right? Obviously, we have to pay off the loan. So I really want to get some more money pumping into that BGA so we can actually start to try to utilize that to help get more of that loan paid off. But more from a perspective of what we think the end goal is going to be here when the series is going to be done. I think we're going to run maybe 2 more full harvests, and then we'll probably, call it for the series at that point. So we'll start selling everything off and just see, where we get to, I guess, in regards to how much money we all have and who wins, right? Obviously, it's become more of the enjoyment of just the bickering and the minor pranks that we've been playing on each other, but, I still want to win. I've mentioned that a couple episodes ago. I still want to win, so my goal is to try to win, but obviously, as you can see straight ahead there, Rusty did put down his own BGA now, so he's going to start catching up again. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily ahead, but at least from the BGA perspective, he's going to catch up. But other than that, things are going well, man. Things are going well. Hopefully, you're all doing well as well. We've got to move some of that some of that wool from the sheep into Grandma's knitwear as well. We want to continue that process and have that move along. Now, our fertilizer production that we put in down there towards the end of the last episode is a big key for me, right? I believe it's going to make me a lot of money. However, I didn't really pay attention when I put it down, but not that there was a whole lot of options out there for us anyway, at least at this point. But the actual cycles per month, there's only 48, so it's a very slow process to actually make solid fertilizer, but that's okay. Even if we're only going to utilize it, even if we're not going to sell it, even if we're only going to utilize it, for our farm itself, right? That's going to save us a ton of money and having to buy fertilizer. So I think no matter what happens, I think that was a smart way to go about the digestate, especially when you consider how much money we made off the digestate. It just really wasn't a ton of money, right? So anyway, still happy with that. Just a little bit slower than I anticipated it was going to be. But it is what it is. There's not really a whole lot else we can do with digestate right now. I think there might be one other mod potentially that's a similar type of approach. I didn't really look into that one, but I just liked the style of this one. So that's why we went with it. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. Things are good, all that good stuff. Now today, really all we have to do is kind of mow the grass here and then maybe sell a few things and move some things around potentially. We will see. There are some things in the used market. You might have saw that real quick. there's a water tank out there. I'm really considering buying that water tank. The one we have is fine, but you know, that's I think it's almost triple the capacity compared to the one we have now. I'm not sure we're really going to need a whole lot more than that for us on the series, unless I decide to, you know, incorporate that wood greenhouse like Crustu has, right? I utilized that already in our Survive 25 challenge, and I've said this many times in the past, and I'll say it many times more again. I know I try to, you know, not utilize the same things as much as I can. Now, sometimes there's nothing for it, right? Sometimes I have to, but I do try to utilize different, you know, productions and things on different series, at least not on the same series running at the same time. I typically don't like to do that, just I like to try to keep things different, not only for you, but for me as well. But I might consider doing that one. I'm not positive yet. It's such a really good production. It produces a lot of money. But it does take an eternity to fill that thing up with water, right? That's the big thing. So if I do decide to do that, you know, buying this one would really not make a huge difference in comparison to what we have now. The other thing out here is this Kloss Arion 470, 410. It's pretty nice, man. It's 155 horsepower straight up. It's more horsepower than we have right now. And the tractor we have right now is a lot more expensive than that is. I don't really necessarily think I want to switch tractors already when we just purchased this, but from a financial standpoint, it almost makes sense for us to even to do that, like to consider it. It really does make sense for us to think about doing that, because I mean, we would end up netting about 40 grand out of that. Well, a little less than that, but somewhere around that range. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money that we could do some other things with, right? So I don't know, man. I really don't. The way I'm thinking here is if I was going to do that, I might as well have bought the fast track that we were looking at before. So I think for the time being, at least for right now, at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to hold off on that. But maybe we think about it as we move along here. I don't know. Still leaning towards no, but you know, it's tempting. It's very tempting to buy that one when you're going to get more horsepower than we actually have with this one. We didn't buy the extension on this one, so it only has like 125, 130 horsepower. This, not that we specifically need a whole lot more horsepower than that, but just from financially, from the money that we would actually gain from purchasing that, it's a tough decision. I'll put it like that. But anyway, this one, I truly think I am going to purchase that if it's still out there and no one else buys it from me. Maybe I should just go ahead and buy it now. I'm gonna wait for a little bit. Maybe I might reconsider. Right? There's some other water tanks out there that I need to look at that might be a little bit more beneficial for us. But as I mentioned, you know, we don't really have a whole lot of productions that require a heavy amount of water. They definitely require water, but it's not like it's, you know, it's not like it takes us, you know, 30 minutes or whatever like it does Crustu to fill up that one production. Right? It's not like it's really harming or impacting our ability to complete the stuff we need to complete in an episode, right? So, yeah, anyway. So we're getting this grass mowed up. Now, speaking of grass, last episode I bought that grass roller. Now, haven't done a whole lot of grass rolling before, so I was a little confused on what was going on there, but I think what it needs to be done, and I saw a lot of comments, and I haven't got to everyone. I started replying to some of them. We're recording this Sunday morning, by the way, but I started replying to some of them. I haven't got to all of them yet, but I will do it. I will be getting to all of them today at the time of this recording. And I think what I did wrong is that it's really, the rolling for the grass roller is really to do an application of fertilizer. So as soon as you mow the grass, an example, this, you get everything picked up, we should roll this immediately and it will put that application of fertilizer down. I already put the application of fertilizer down on that field over there, and that's the reason why it really wasn't doing anything. However, I also am not positive that, even though it says needs rolling, I don't think the grass roller is really what that means. I think that's more of the plowing and rolling it the natural way. Plowing, reseeding it, and rolling it that way. I think that's really what that boils down to, not specifically for clearing that rolling notice, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'll try to explain it better once we're done with this field. hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, as a matter of fact, I can get out here right now. As you can see, it says fertilized 100%. We just mowed this portion. It says 50%. So if I go back and roll this now, it should jump from fertilized 50% to 100% or something near that. So I think that's really what I'm supposed to be doing with that. So just to clear that up a little bit, not that I'm sure a lot of you already knew that, but like I said, most of the time I stay away from any sort of rolling of any sort because I really don't like rolling. But as a competition, I think it makes sense for me to try to save as much money as I possibly can, and that is definitely one way to save some money if that's going to give us the fertilization that we need, or at least some of the fertilization that we need. So I'm actually mowing this entire field here, and you might be saying, well, why are you mowing that entire field? You're not going to have a whole lot to do. You're right. There's a high probability that when we finish mowing this field, we're not going to have a ton to do in the next episode. You are 100% correct. The next episode comes around, a quick autosave here, but the next episode comes around, and it's going to be April. There's really nothing to harvest. We can put stuff in the ground, but there's nothing to harvest. We will figure out some things to do, right? Just like we did in the last couple of episodes, we will figure out some things to do, I assure you. The thing I expect in the next episode is that we're going to be selling a decent amount of things. Specifically, we're going to have the BGA going. We're going to be selling stuff from that BGA. 2, we've got the clothes we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Those are going to need to be sold, more than likely at the train. So we're going to have that to do, right? We're going to find things to do. Don't worry. Especially if we make all of that money next episode. I'm not saying we'll spend it all. A lot of it might go into the loan, like I mentioned, but there are a few other things that I have talked about for a while that have not come to fruition yet. I'm hoping they will this season. When I say this season, I'm talking about this actual year, in-game year. So we'll see, right? But that's future terms here, but we will find things to do. I promise. We will find things to do. So we're almost done with the actual mowing portion of this. We do have to bale it. Another thing that I've talked about, and I do still want to try to do that, is upgrade our mowing setup. Go with a more traditional round baler or square baler, doesn't really matter, versus the pretty unrealistic approach that we're doing right now, right? But we don't have the money for that, so obviously next episode, that's something that we can definitely probably consider is buying some of that new equipment, upgrading what we have and buying some of that new equipment. Now, one thing that really is going to play a pivotal role on that, though, as I've mentioned before, is, are we going to be able to get through all of the twine, right? We've got all that twine that I spent money on. It's not a ton of money. It really wouldn't harm us probably to lose that, but it is something that I definitely want to try to utilize as much of it as we can before we get rid of it. So I don't know how much twine we're going to use here on this field. I would suspect it's going to be probably a decent amount, but I really don't know how much we're going to use. All right, don't get too close there, Z. Don't kill the crop, please. We want as much of that crop as humanly possible. Now, one other thing I haven't looked at, and maybe I should, for the wool, is maybe turning it into fabric and then put the fabric into Granny's knitwear. That might yield us a little more in the clothes perspective if we go that route, right? It's going to take longer, but that might yield us a little bit more. Haven't looked into it in a heavy amount of detail in the past, specifically FS22, FS19. I have gone that approach, and it does seem that you make a lot more money. You make more clothes. It's not a ton more clothes, but you do make a little bit more on the clothes perspective, and in turn, you'll end up making a lot more money, right? So I think that's an idea to consider for sure. Not really sure the price. I think they're normally relatively expensive. And I do know that most of the fabric productions are not the fastest thing in the world, as I mentioned, right? So, but again, that's not a huge deal for me because we're always going to be waiting to sell the clothes until it's the best time to sell them. As a matter of fact, it's actually a pretty decent time right now, but I'm going to wait. We have not met or surpassed the average best price, so we're going to wait until April when I believe is the best time to sell them. Just because we want to get as much money as we possibly can out of that. We really do. Looks like Rusty's been mowing as well, so a lot of us are in the mowing stages right now. I'm gonna try to mow a little bit more of this up here around the edges here. No, I'm just gonna climb the invisible wall there, I guess. Okay. So I rambled on for 15 or so minutes here. Let's get going here. Let's get the rest of this kind of accomplished. Get the remaining strips here of the grass mowed. Get all of it baled up. Get it all picked up. Drop it into the silage pole and get underway. Speaking of that, I probably need to go in here and set up the BGA to work properly here. We don't really have anything on right now. The only thing we have is distributing of the digestate. So we will turn on this silage, and yes, it's on selling, I think. No, it needs to be on storing. There you go, storing. We don't want the silage on selling. I don't know why it was on selling. Why did I make it on selling before? Maybe I accidentally did it. I don't know. It was weird, right? Well, maybe I turned it on selling because that's what it was. I forgot there was a tiny bit of silage in there. It wouldn't, go through it. We turned it on selling because of that reason. That's what it was. Okay. Now I could have left it in there, obviously, and then once it gets enough, it'll process, right? When we put more in there, but just sell it. It's fine. This is going to be good money, right? This is going to be another good money, so good amount of money. So when April comes around, man, we're going to be sitting pretty again. Like I said, a good chunk of that, if not most of that, I truly expect that we're going to be spending on paying off part of that loan, based off the notes that I told you already at the beginning, right? That we kind of have the loose idea of how we're going to finish this series, right? If we only have 2 more true harvests left. We really need to. When I say harvest, I'm talking about year harvest, the whole year, right? We really only have 2 more left, so probably need to start paying a little more of that loan off to get ourselves in a better position, set ourselves up better for success, if you will, right? We've got to have that paid off if we're going to win. So we need to put a little more effort into doing that. All right, let's get this done. It shouldn't take too long. All right, we're cruising along here, gang, and clearly, as you can tell, the ground is definitely changing, and it does look like there's been fertilizer put on the ground. So if we look here, we've got 50% on this ground that has been harvested, mowed, I guess in this instance, but in this game, considered to be harvested, right? Growth stage there in the bottom right-hand corner is harvested. If we go over here, you can see that the crop type is grass, is no longer harvested, and the fertilization is at 100%. So this is 100% going to save us money in the long run. By not having to continue to put fertilizer down on the ground. It doesn't mean we have to roll it, but it's a significant amount of savings, I would think, over time, right? Are we going to get the full amount of that we paid for this roller out of it? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I guess it really depends on how many times we utilize it from now until the end of the series, but I would expect, at a bare minimum, we will get its use out of it by the time the end of the series is done and we sell it. I fully expect that we will have more. We would have made more money than we spent by the time we return this, I guess, if that makes sense, right? Because at the end of the series, we talked about, right, the goal at the end of the series is we're selling pretty much everything except for what we started with, right? So we're cruising along, man. It's a slow process, but we are cruising along. It's not going to take too much longer to get the rest of this rolling done, but this is the major thing that we had left to do today. Some things have gone out of the used market. I don't know if anybody bought anything or if it just by a time constraint that they were removed from the used market, but there are some things out of there. Still leaning pretty heavily towards buying that water tank. I do think it probably makes sense for us. Less trips for me when I'm going to be traveling around and doing stuff here. I did not mean to pick that up. Basically, we'll, the equivalent of what it will do is remove, 3 trips, I guess, up to the prickly pear cactus up here in the right-hand corner. And I do want to move the other one. I talked about that. I just don't love where it is. I think it's in the way, and I think we could put something else there that would be more beneficial to us. So, we'll probably move that. I'm not sure if we'll move it today, but that might be something we end up doing in the next episode. Like I said, we're going to make a lot of money, but we're not going to have a ton to do. So that's one of the things that we could absolutely utilize some of that time for is moving some things around like that. Put them in better locations, right? I think up here in the top corner makes sense, those little corner spots. Now, granted, I'm sure you saw at least in that time lapse towards the end there, trying to go around that prickly pear cactus there. It was, there were some collision issues happening there. Not a big deal, really, to me. If we lose a tiny little corner there without having, the full yield out of it, it's not really going to make that big of a difference in the long run. It really isn't. So, I'm okay with that, I guess is how I'll put it. So we're going to get the rest of this field rolled. Once we're done doing the rest of the field, I'm going to bring the tractor over here and pick up those pallets there of wool and bring that over to Grandma's knitwear. When I turn around here and we get back going up and down here, I'll probably put on the steering assist for this while we look in the menu for a minute. Whoops. It's such a habit to pick up the piece of equipment, and I just want to keep this one on the ground because it's a roller. Let's take a peek while that's happening, and I don't know where it's going to go. It doesn't really matter. If I have to do another trip, I have to do another trip. Looks like I don't. Looks like I'm going right down the middle where I want it to be, so that's perfect. I don't know from a perspective of, we were talking about fabric earlier, right? I don't know what we have installed for a fabric production. Probably not much, at least, inexpensively. Yeah, I'm not seeing really a whole lot here, but there's the ones that come with the DLC, but after that, all these are going to be expensive, right? So, tailor shop here. Okay, so this just takes the fabric and turns it into clothes, so that's not what we need. We need the opposite. We need wool to be able to turn into fabric, and then we can take the fabric and put it into Grandma's knitwear and see if we make a little bit more money off of it, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. Maybe I'll talk it over with the guys a bit and see if they know of anything or maybe want to consider anything. Maybe they don't want to consider anything. Who knows? But it was something to think about, I guess. There's some other mods and things that we've installed for future type of items that I'm really interested in, that I think we're going to partake in. One of those may happen next month, depending on how much money we make. Again, I want to spend a good amount of money on paying some more of the loan off, but you know, it's still potentially an option, I guess is how I will put it. It really just depends on how much we actually make. I don't expect it to be as much as we had last time, mostly because we don't have any straw that's going over there right now. You know, in a couple months we will, right, when it comes harvest time, but we've got a little ways to go before it's harvest time, so yeah, anyway, I guess we'll figure it out as we move along. What else can we talk about? Talked about how I'm getting to all of your comments, and by the time this is released, this is going to be multiple days since I replied to them, but I was way behind. I do know that, and I apologize. Very much behind. Lots of reasons for that. I've mentioned that a number of times. I'm not going to go into it here, but there were a lot of reasons for it. But I'm getting to them, and I promise you, even if it may not seem like it, because it's been a couple of days or whatever it has been, a handful of days longer. Some of them were longer. I promise I will get back to you at some point. I promise. It's just not always going to be within 24 or 48 hours for me, unfortunately. I do read each and every single one of the comments, and I do like to reply to each and every single one of the comments, even if it takes me a while. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Did we miss a little bit? We missed a little bit of grass there. Well, it's too late now. It's not going to make that big of a difference, so I'm not that worried about it. I missed a little bit over in that corner too. That's all right. We can pick that up next episode, I guess. Might try to do some around the edges type of mowing in the next episode as well. It's not going to make produce a lot, but some of this stuff right here we could definitely do and pick up. Maybe it'll give us a bale, maybe two, all the way around the outer perimeter as well. We can try to do that. Again, not sure exactly how much it'll give us, but it's something. So how much did we actually get? Well, it's already been chewing through some of it, right? So how much did we actually get here? A little over 80,000, I would say, right? A little over 80,000, which is good. There's still digestate in here trying to go through and chew through that. It looks like the fertilizer plant still has room. So it's very weird the way that production works. I guess it's just every hour it takes 10,000 liters of the digestate over to it, I guess. But I guess it really doesn't make a difference because it really takes a long time for it to actually even do anything with that digestate, right? So, it is what it is. Right now, we've got 4,974 liters of solid fertilizer, which, when is the best time to sell solid fertilizer? I think we looked at this in the last episode, but I've already forgotten. It really doesn't fluctuate all that much, but it's technically September, August, September, October time period, but it really doesn't look like it fluctuates all that much. It's well, quite frankly, it's like $50 in fluctuation, maybe 100 at most. So it's not really like it's something that we have to truly wait for a certain month to sell it. It doesn't seem, which is a good thing, right? Because if we're desperate for some reason, which we shouldn't be, but if we are for some reason, we can always sell that, to get the money we need. Example of that would be, maybe there's something really good in the used market that we want coming up here. That gives us that opportunity to do so, right? Do I buy this? 6,050 liters. What is ours currently? I think it's like 2,000. I should probably get on the, get on the line there so I don't go off tangent. 3,200. Okay, so it's like a double. It's actually less than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to get a triple increase, but it's more like a double. 3,981. How much would we get for ours? 2023. It's almost like a wash because our water tank's at 99%. So basically, we'd have to spend $1,000 on that, essentially. Well, okay, I'm sorry, $2,000 on that, right? $2,000. Yeah, $2,000 is basically what we'd have to spend. Is it worth $2,000? don't know, man. This thing is it's hard to not pick this up for the price. It just doesn't feel like the right thing to do when we spend all the effort doing this one and getting this one, and then only 2 episodes later to go ahead and turn around and sell it and get another one. It should be out there for the remainder of this rolling process here, so I'm going to get the rest of it rolled, and we'll make that decision, I guess, at that point. But now, as far as the other fields go, these fields that are ready, when they're going to be ready to harvest, it's going to be a bit still. As you can see, they're still in an early stage type of approach here, so it's going to be a bit, unfortunately. So there's going to be a couple of months here that we're not going to have a whole lot to do yet again. But like I said, we'll find things to do. Don't worry. And I told you my initial goal, which right now it's probably going to stay grass field for a little bit longer than I anticipated. But my initial goal, I'm going to get that one before it. I don't want to drive all the way back here just to get that. My initial goal for the other field here, I'm going to go into let's go into the bird's eye view here. The goal for this field wasn't really to be a grass field. I'm fine with it being a grass field for right now, but that's not really what the initial vision was for it. So we'll see, right? We will see. Might be based off, being able to get the BGA down and some of the other things we've put down. We might be shifting gears a bit. Maybe we keep it as a grass field for right now. But eventually that will not be a grass field no matter what. It just might not end up being exactly what I had initially planned to do, because I think as we've moved along here, some of the other things we've actually put down that we're utilizing pretty heavily right now are actually a better fit from a financial standpoint. And right now, given the fact that we kind of are, sorting out the finalized ending for this series and it only having 2 more in-game years left, basically, I don't know if it's financially feasible. And what I mean by that is to spend all the effort, because it's not anything that we actually own right now. I'd have to buy different equipment. So would I end up making my money on that? I'm not sure if we would. It's definitely something to think about. I'm just not quite sure that it would make the most sense right now. So I need to do some more math, I guess is what I need to get at. I need to do some more math and figure out if it's actually financially feasible for us to do it. Are we going to get a better return off of that than what we spent into it? And right now I'm kind of leaning towards maybe saying we wouldn't. Maybe I should have shifted the gears to that a little bit earlier if I really wanted to do it, but we found other productions and other things to put down that I think are even better than what I had initially planned. And that's going to happen, right? I didn't really tell you what it was anyway. Besides the fact that I wanted to do some corn. I don't know. We'll see. I'll leave it at that. We'll see. Alright, so we can fold that up. Another thing I would love to do, which I didn't show to you yet, but I'm going to show it to you now. This is a newer mod that we installed. I'd love to put this windmill down versus the one we currently have, but this thing is super expensive and it takes up tons and tons of space, right? Tons of space. So I'm not sure that's really the smartest thing for this series either, right? I've done a relatively decent job of keeping things in a tight-knit order down here, right? Where I'm not taking up a bunch of space that otherwise would produce, products for us. And I'm trying to kind of keep with that vision a bit, with the exception of the shed with the fertilizer we put out in the grass field. I'm trying to kind of keep everything centralized here, just so we don't continue to cut into our profits, if you will. It does mean that the turning radiuses and the areas are a little bit more tighter to maneuver, but it is certainly allowing us to have the better chance of making a lot more money out in the fields, and then utilizing that harvest to turn it into different products, right? Okay, so that is all done, and that worked out like a treat there. That was a breeze. So let's go ahead and get hooked up here to the front loader, and I'm going to grab the trailer right there. But before we move on, I do want to look at a few other things that I haven't looked at, and I probably should have earlier on. Pumpkins, I'm pretty sure they're not right now, but I do want to look at them because we have a lot of pumpkins right now. They're not. It's technically September, although they don't fluctuate that much. But anyway, we've talked about that already in the past, so we don't need to go into that in heavy detail. The crickets, I think that has already... insect flower was December. Okay. The crickets, I think that's already elapsed. Oh, actually, crickets are really good right now. Okay, so we sell the crickets right now for sure. Eggs, they're not going to be great. Nope. Actually, the worst possible time for eggs right now. Clothes, as you can see, there is $11.58 actually at the goods export, which is better than the average best price. It's still going up. It's something to consider selling them right now. I'm kind of leaning towards taking a chance and waiting to next month and hoping it goes higher than that. But there's a chance it might not, right? The average best price is $11.33. We're seeing $11.59 right there at the goods export, right? So there's a high chance that may not happen. And then the final thing we wanted to look at is the aged goat cheese still decent? It is. It is decent. But I think I'm going to wait. The best we could get is 8486. I think I'm going to hold off. We can wait till September and do that. I think we'll hold off. Let's head on up here. I don't actually need the trailer for this. There was only like 2 pallets. Let's head on up here and pick up... Watch out, chicken! Pick up the pallets here of wool, and we'll bring them over to Gramble's Knitwear. Get that going. Once we are able to do the upgrade to some of the mowing stuff that I talked about, right, I think that's going to be good because we'll be able to get rid of that trailer. If I can turn them into the really, really large bales, I'm fine to just, drop them off on the field itself and kind of leave them out there and then just move them around as needed. And really, most of the time, it's probably going to be immediately moved. But I'm fine to do that. We can utilize the front loader here. I can use our other flatbed trailer and put them up on top of that if I want to. Maybe it takes a little bit more time, but as you've noticed... except for maybe a couple months out of the year, we're not going to have a lot to do, so it's not going to be that big of a deal, in my eyes at least, to do that, right? Alright, those are cruising along. Let's hook up to the trailer here, and we'll get the crickets on there. We can at least sell those. Oh, I didn't look at the marmalade. The marmalade, I'm pretty sure, is not right now, though. I swear we've looked at that a ton. But I forgot to look at the marmalade. No, it's the worst time. We need to wait till October. So, yeah, we'll hold off on that, too. There's no reason to not. I'm not going to take that big of a loss. Well, I say loss. It's really only a loss from the amount of money we spent to put those down. But as far as the perspective goes of... money spent on them. It was just water. It's not like we spent a ton of money, right? What I should look at, which I didn't, is making sure that there's enough room in here for the pumpkins. There's still enough room, but we're probably going to have to consider that. Ooh, Rusty got himself a planter, it looks like. Or maybe that's the planter he already had. I don't know. Anyway, we will have to, consider moving some of those pumpkins off of the... I wonder why this always happens here. For some reason, it doesn't want to pick these up. It's like glitching for some reason. It's been doing that a lot. I don't know why. A little weird, right? A little weird. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we do still have some more of that twine over there, quite a bit more of the twine, actually, so we're going to be holding on to that for a while. It's turning out to be, like, that might be a while before we're able to upgrade that mowing setup, and hell, who knows? Yeah, I've been talking about doing all this mowing and everything. Who knows? It might not even be beneficial for us to make that change by the time we run out of that twine, because that twine is lasting a lot longer than I expected. For the crickets, we are selling them at our friend Rusty's sale point here, which is kind of funny. All right. 6,766 buckaroonies. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I think I'm going to hold off on buying that water tank. I'm not positive it makes sense. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we should do it? I'm asking you like you can actually reply to me right now. I don't really love the way that those go together. It kind of, sort of matches the eye there, and the slash underneath it, kind of, but not really. It's more of a yellow. Ours is not yellow. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's hard not to buy that. It's hard not to buy that. It's not a massive, loss to us. It's hard not to buy that. We'll go ahead and do it. I better turn the beacons on. The first time we've had beacons. We didn't have beacons in the other one. Oh, speaking of that, we didn't look at the inside of the tractor when I bought it. I always like to look at the inside of the tractor. It's pretty nice in here, actually. I really like it. It seems, even though there's a ton of buttons, to me it seems like it's relatively simple to operate, which I like that. And I like where the GPS stuff in the top right hand corner is. I like that. I like all that. All right, let's sell this thing. $64 to repaint it, sure. Conditions not letting me fix it, even though it has the potential there for us to be able to fix a little bit if you look at it. But 2297. All right. You know what? I should fix this. I should fix this before I go back there. Although it probably really doesn't make that big of a difference. Really probably doesn't make a difference at all, as a matter of fact. But we'll do it anyway. It wasn't too much to fix it. It's mostly just the paint that's the problem. But who cares? I don't care about the paint. Alright, we got our water tank back. Let's just do a quick top off here on some of the stuff that we can do. The pickly pears and etc. Let's just do that real quick. It'd probably be good for us to do that. Alright, there's a nice little top off, and then we just gotta top off the pickly pear down here. And with that, gang, we'll leave the episode at this point. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash the like, subscribe button on the case you've yet to do so. They are free to do. They help me out an absolute ton. Thanks to my members. Cannot thank them enough. If you're interested in that, you do get early access to videos like this one. There's a link down below in the description. Also, a link for my second channel down there and for my Discord, where you are able to share anything that you might be working on, as well as see anything that I'm doing from both of my channels, if it interests you. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for your continued support. We really do appreciate it. All three of us really do truly appreciate the support that you guys have been showing us for this series. It's been extremely successful for all three of us. We've been having a blast making these videos, and yeah, we still got a long way to come. Thanks for watching. See you next time.